Hi everyone, my name is Danny and welcome back to another episode of Behind the Frame. This week we're going to do an elephant photo, a photo that I took quite a while back in the Amboseli, an excellent place to take amazing elephant shots. And I chose this particular photo for a reason. It's a photo that I normally would overlook and not really do much about it, but I decided to challenge myself a little bit and see what I can do with this photo. When I flip over to my laptop, you'll see it's a little bit on the lighter side. Might have been washed out a tiny little bit, you could say. But I'm going to see what we can do with this photo. All right, so what we're going to do is you can either see my face or we're going to swap over to my laptop screen here and you'll be able to follow along everything that I do on my laptop. All right, so let's get into it. Okay, so always the first thing when I do have a photo in front of me and I decided I want to develop this one, I go to my crop tool. In the Amboseli with wide, big open skies and horizons that you can see, the first thing that I want to do is I want to straighten my photo. So with the angle tool that you get there, little ruler, what you want to do is press and hold and take a line straight through on the horizon just to straighten that. Oh, it was quite straightened already. There we go. That looks pretty straight to me, and just want to bring it in a tiny little bit, not too much. I don't want to lose too much of that big sky back there. So about there is what I want to do. Okay, so first that we want to do when we work on a photo like this is we want to work on our global adjustments here. So this here is going to affect everything on the photo and not single out one single, like the subject or the background of the photo. So the photo is quite washed out, so I want to put a little bit of contrast back into the photo. So I'm going to bring down the exposure just a bit, just to give us some contrast that we can work with. Down to the highlights. The highlights won't do much because we don't have much highlights in this photo, but you can see here in the sky, it is bringing the highlights down a tiny little bit. The shadows, we have a little bit of shadow here on the elephant's face, so we just want to bring back some detail in the shadows there. And now to put a little bit more of contrast onto the elephant, I'm going to bring up the whites and I'm going to bring down the blacks. Normally a rule of thumb that I would work with when I edit is when I bring down my highlights, I will bring up my whites. When I bring up my shadows, I will bring down my blacks again. That's just a little trick that I do when I edit. Okay, and then on next to the texture, I'm just going to bring a tiny little bit of texture. You don't want to overdo it. Bit of vibrance and saturation again, just to give us that little bit of color that I lost in my initial shot. Okay, and then once again, just to get a little bit more of contrast back into the photo, I will bring up the lights in my tone curve and bring down the darks as well. Essentially what you want to do on your tone curve is you just want to create this slight little bit of an S curve on the tone curve itself. Bring down the blacks just a tiny little bit more. Okay, let's see why for the before and after. And you can already see just with that global adjustments that we've made that there's already a very, very big difference in the two photos. We're definitely not going to leave it at that. I feel that the photo still needs a little bit more oomph in it. But after I've done all my global adjustments, I'm going to go ahead and use the masking tool. So with the masking tool, the idea that I have for this photo is I want to bring out the elephants just a little bit more, and I want to darken the backgrounds as well. I remember when I took this photo, it was either sunset or sunrise, but I remember there was a little bit of a golden glow to it. So I want to bring in a side light from the side onto the elephant, making it a little bit more warmer in the photo as well. Let's go for it. So in my masking tool, we've got the three options that we can go with for just like a quick pick. and the others as well. So I'm first going to select subject and see how well AI thinks. There we go. Wonderful. Pretty good selection here. There's nothing that I want to add or nothing that I want to take away with the subject. So I think that's a pretty good selection that they've made here for me. So what we're going to do here, I'm just going to scroll down a tiny little bit. With, like I said, with the elephant, I want to bring out the elephant just a tiny little bit to distinguish it from the background. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring up the exposure just a touch, not too much, because you don't want the elephant to be washed out again. So I'm just going to bring up the elephant just a tiny little bit. And I'm going to bring the blacks down, and I'm going to take the whites back up again. There's not much highlights in this photo except for maybe on the tusks a little bit, but you don't see much of a difference when you do use your highlights slider. As well as for the shadows, there is also not much. Oh, there we go. Just a little bit slow. You just want to bring it down a tiny little bit. There we go. And I just want to bring down the blacks again, just to make that side lighting here pop quite a lot there. Just want to toggle it on and off. A very, very slight difference, but it's enough difference for me. So to work on the background, just a quick one to select the background. You can say duplicate and invert the mask. So the subject is not going to be selected and the background will be selected. So we want to bring down the exposure of the background just a bit, just so that the elephant comes out more in the photo. You see how bringing down the exposure, these little white cattle egrets just suddenly pops out of the photo as well. They say good things comes in 3, but they also come out. Maybe just bring up the whites a tiny little bit. There we go. Just toggle that on and off. That is a massive difference. I just want to see how both the masks work together. That is an incredible difference already there. So what I said earlier is that I want to try to bring that side light in that I saw when I took the photo, that side light that comes onto the elephant. So what we're going to do there is we're going to try to create a radial gradient. And I'm going to zoom out quite a lot on this photo, even more. There we go. So what I'm going to do with this radial gradient here, I'm going to bring it in from the side. Make it a little bit of more of an oval shape and bring it in. I don't want it to be full effect. So this part here is 100% and it goes gradually. It goes 75, 50 to none. I don't want the 100%. I don't want the full effect of it. I want it to be a very, very soft light coming in here. About there. That's what I want to do, yes. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract the subject just to have that side light and not affect our subject too much on it. All right. I'm going to bring the exposure up just by a slight touch, as well as the whites. What I'm going to do is going to bring up the temperature, warm up the temperature just by a little bit more, about there. And I'm going to come down to the dehaze, and I'm just going to slightly soften that light as well. I think I need to bring up the exposure just a little bit more. There we go. Just want to see what difference that makes. An incredible difference bringing in that side light for you. Now what I've noticed while doing that is we've got quite a dark edge here on this side of the elephant, which makes sense that it is going to be a little bit darker on this side. But I'm actually just going to take a linear gradient and I'm going to bring it in from the side here. Once again, I don't really want the full effect on it too much. So I'm just going to slightly bring it down a bit. And I'm going to bring the exposure up just so that we don't have that very, very dark edge. There we go, about there. Let's see our before and after That is incredible already. All right. I feel that the photo is still a tiny little bit cold to me. So in my global adjustments, I'm just going to warm up the entire photo as well. Not too much. I do sometimes go to the extreme to see where that point lies for me, where I want it. But around about there is good enough for me. Now I already like that photo quite a lot. Okay, let's see the before and after. So that is our before shot, and that is our after shot. I love how you can see this clump of grass that the elephant took out here. The little bit of dust coming up from that. You get to see the cattle egrets a little bit more. It's that side light. It's a very, very soft photo, but this is basically what I saw when I took the photo. So overall, I'm very, very happy with that. There we go. All right, so that was my very quick edit of an elephant, behind the frame for an elephant. I hope you enjoyed that, and if you do have any questions, please don't hesitate to let me know. I hope you have a great week ahead. Bye.